Researchers at MIT Sloan recently ran an experiment. They asked people to evaluate marketing copy and persuasive campaigns without telling them who or what wrote the text. This chart illustrates the results of that study. When looking blindly at the text, participants preferred the AI-generated copy over the human-written drafts. The algorithm was actually better at the persuasive task. But there is a massive catch. The moment you slap the label AI-generated onto that exact same piece of content, the public reaction turns aggressively hostile. People call it lazy, soulless, and cheap. The public objects to the process of creation, even when they find the actual words or pixels valuable. When we look at art or read an article, we are consuming human effort, and generative algorithms break the established rules of how that effort is supposed to work. To understand this backlash, we have to look at how these models are built. Tech companies trained their generative systems by scraping billions of images, articles, and songs from the internet without asking the original creators or paying them. For the artists who spent decades honing their craft, this feels like theft. Their lifelong portfolios were used to build a sophisticated plagiarism machine, a tool designed specifically to do their jobs for a fraction of the cost. This diagram from a 2025 IP framework shows where we are now, stuck in the unclear ownership gray area. Copyright laws simply don't cover machines generating content. Meanwhile, professionals are forced to compete against algorithms trained to mimic their exact styles. So when designers and writers revolt against automation, they aren't rejecting progress. They are demanding a baseline of fair compensation and a way to survive economically. Artistic work functions as a primary anchor for human identity. For many, a finished project is the culmination of years of personal history and hard-won expertise. Psychologists have started identifying a phenomenon called creative displacement anxiety. When creators use or compete against generative models, they report intense imposter syndrome, a severe drop in motivation, and fear their skills will atrophy. We are culturally conditioned to validate things through effort. If someone spends 100 hours painting a portrait, we respect the struggle required to bring that vision to life. Generative AI completely shatters that internal human compass. When a user can instantly generate a visually stunning masterpiece in just 4 seconds with a single text prompt, it throws our value system into chaos. We no longer know what we are supposed to be rewarding. Without the struggle, the resulting output feels completely unearned, stripping the human creator of the identity they built through years of practice. Zooming out, this disruption touches on a deeply held psychological belief known as anthropocentric creativity, the idea that the ability to create is a uniquely human trait that separates us from every other species. A recent study from the University of British Columbia found that people actively reject AI art because acknowledging a machine's creativity directly threatens our worldview. It forces us to question our own uniqueness and our place in the universe. We naturally connect with the human backstory of a piece of art. We look for the heartbreak, the inspiration, or the historical context. An algorithm has no lived experience and no genuine intent behind its outputs. The fantasy author Brandon Sanderson pointed out a distinction in how we view automation. He references the folktale of John Henry trying to outdig a steam drill. As a society, we are perfectly happy letting steam engines dig our tunnels and do our heavy physical labor. But we draw a hard line when machines try to replace the emotional labor of our humanity. An objectively beautiful image generated without a human backstory ultimately feels hollow. It is a perfectly pitched song without a singer. The collapse of the human process structurally breaks the internet for everyone. Digital platforms are currently drowning in slop, the term for low-quality, high-volume AI-generated filler that is flooding social media feeds and search results. It is driving a phenomenon known as the dead internet theory. Consumers are growing increasingly frustrated by the realization that genuine, organic human interaction is rapidly being displaced by automated bot activity. This illustrates a crisis called model collapse. As AI slop fills the web, future models must use that synthetic data as training material. This creates a self-consuming loop, models feeding on their own degraded output, creating endless synthetic garbage that drives humans off these platforms. The unchecked spread of automated content threatens the baseline utility of the web. It erodes our trust in what we see, read, and share. The intense friction between creators and algorithms goes beyond a temporary moral panic. It functions as a defense mechanism for human culture. By aggressively rejecting these automated products, society acts as a biological system identifying a foreign body. We are attempting to isolate the synthetic to ensure our shared digital spaces remain habitable and genuine. This cultural immune system works to protect the value of human intent and lived experience. These are the true currencies of art, and society is fighting to ensure they remain the foundation of our world.